Well, it's September now, and you know what that means. That means that the spooky season has officially begun, if you're a freak like me. And for most people, the spooky season is on its way. And the first sign of that, the juice has never been looser, baby. Hey, what's up? My name is John Bonjour. I am a comic artist and a film enthusiast. I have drawn some art and I would like to enthuse about some film. Today we are talking about Tim Burton's Beetlejuice Beetlejuice. Beetlejuice. We're in the clear. This is a movie that I find probably irrationally interesting. I'm going to talk about it in two kind of parts, non-spoiler and spoiler. And in those two parts, I'm going to talk in two parts. So I guess that's four parts. Is that 4 parts? 2 and 2? 4 parts. Math was not my strong suit. I'm an art kid. But I'm going to talk about it in 4 parts. Within the spoilers and within the non-spoilers, I'm going to talk about this as a film and this as a Beetlejuice film. Because I think those are two extremely different things. Starting off, non-spoiler thoughts. As a movie, this is a little bit bad. Like, it's not good for sure. Like, it's not a well-crafted movie. The story is not good. Some of the characters are used not at all. Sometimes some things don't make any logical sense. A lot of this just doesn't work as a movie. However, as a Beetlejuice movie, it is perfect. It's exactly what you want. That's why I'm kind of dividing this into two separate things. I think it deserves to be addressed from both angles, both as a movie and a Beetlejuice movie, because I think there's very different takeaways. As a movie, like I said, it doesn't really work super well. There are things, though, that are really incredible. That's kind of what they built this marketing campaign on. It's their version of Tom Cruise doing all of his own stunts. The practical effects in this movie are jaw-dropping. They are spectacular across the board. There's not a single one that doesn't work beautifully. There are moments in this movie that I was floored by the way that they were able to combine practical effects and stop motion animation and real just plate shooting. It is so impressive to me and it's so beautiful. I love it so much. That was my biggest problem with Wednesday, was that the effects on that creature were pretty rough. They were pretty extremely bad. And it's just sad to see, because you know that Burton has a good energy. You know that he can make something super weird and super tangible. And so it's really nice to see that in this film. He brings that to a degree that I don't think he's ever done before. This might be the most visually impressive and just visually interesting movie that he's maybe ever made. That's a high claim, but it's entirely possible. They're just film things. I think some of the acting is really good. Some of it is okay. Catherine O'Hara is an absolute gem in this movie. She's just spectacular. Like, I liked her in the original. I think that she is something else in this. She's really hit a stride that I think is just beautiful. I think to that point, Winona Ryder and Jenna Ortega both do a really good job. They both bring something very personal and human to these characters. That said, there is a guy in this movie, Winona Ryder's boyfriend, producer guy. He's okay. I get what he's going for. I get what they're trying to do, but it's something about it doesn't play perfectly for me. And I think he should have been funnier than he was, and he should have connected with me in a certain despicable way, and he just kind of didn't. I'm sure we'll get to that in spoilers, but he didn't play great for me. Non-spoiler thoughts when it comes to it being a Beetlejuice movie. I said it before, it literally is the perfect sequel to Beetlejuice. It feels like a strong continuation. It doesn't do that dumb thing that prequels do, where their characters have just not aged at all, not changed anything. A thing that I was thinking about the new Ghostbusters movie recently. It's really frustrating that those characters haven't even slightly moved on. I can't go into a whole Ghostbusters rant, but you know what I'm talking about. The whole requel thing where the characters just haven't changed in 20, 30 years, and now, oh, look at that, they're back for the sequel. I think that's very frustrating. There are cases where it works okay, Spider-Man No Way Home, but even then, I think there's an argument to be made for they weren't pulled 20 years later, they were pulled from whatever. I'm getting sidetracked, but the point that I'm making is that these characters are still the same characters, but they have grown, they have changed, they've lived a life. I feel like we are catching up with these people, and that's really fun. It also is just a series of bits and skits and goofs, and that's what a Beetlejuice movie is supposed to be. Like, it isn't supposed to be a coherent plot. It's just supposed to be kind of a weird sexual pervert doing fun, weird things, and that's what we get. That's exactly what you get. You get a weird little creep running around being the most annoying, lovable, just disgusting piece of crap. And that's Beetlejuice, baby. That's pretty much all I can say in terms of non-spoilers because I don't want to dive into anything. If you liked the first Beetlejuice, you will probably like this one. I assume. I hope. If you hated the first Beetlejuice, nothing is going to change for you. This is not going to be the movie to convince you that Beetlejuice is a fun character or somebody that you should look up to. It's not going to be a better plot. It is 100% not going to be more cohesive. It's just not. And so I think it depends very strongly on how you feel about the original. But if you really like it, I would highly recommend going to see Beetlejuice in theaters because I really want this movie to be successful because so much love was put into it. Let's take a second before we get into spoilers and just talk about how I have not made you guys watch a single ad. Not one. I haven't made you sit through me talking about how you can get some app that can teach you more about, I don't know, how to eat better, or how sleep is all of a sudden so important to me, because I think it's pretty clear based on my vibe that it is not. I haven't made you sit through any of those. And I think as a thank you to me for being such a wonderful, kind creator, maybe you should just read my comic book. Comic book Edge of Bordertown is free on my website johnbonart.com, and I really love it and I want you to read it. I want everyone to read it, so please give that a shot. Like I said, it is free. It will always be free to read. Go do that. And starting October 1st, I'm going to be uploading new pages of chapter 4 every week, so it's going to be crazy. I'm so excited to show you guys chapter 4, and if you're a member of my Patreon, then you'll get those a week early. So if you want to give me money, I will not say no. I will say thank you. I will say thank you a lot. All right, let's dive into spoilers. As a movie, so many of these characters do not work. The villain lady, I can't even think of her name. I could look it up, but I just don't have the time. I do have the time, but I'm not going to. She was nothing. She didn't provide anything for this movie. She was fun to watch, and we'll get into that later, but she didn't, as in terms of plot, she didn't drive anything forward. She didn't really move anything. There was a looming threat that made Beetlejuice move, but I mean, you don't need that. Like, he could be motivated by anything. Like I said before, the boyfriend, soon-to-be husband of Winona Ryder's character, not good, not great. He's okay. Again, I don't blame the actor for this. I think just the character that he's been given, he's only got one thing, and he's in the movie a lot for that one thing. So, I don't know. Yeah, like, he's got a satisfying conclusion to his arc when she punches him real hard. It's nice to see. But I just can't really connect myself with that character. I also feel very bad. Winona Ryder in the original Beetlejuice, her character is strong-headed and makes really solid decisions. And I will say that is one thing about this movie that I didn't totally connect with. Her character in this makes no decisions, like, until the very end. Like, she is such a pushover people pleaser, and I don't see that as a version of this character. You know, I see an argument for, character development, but it does kind of feel like if you were going to do that character development to get her to this point, maybe we should have seen the movie in between these two movies where she is married and she does soften up. That probably would have been important. I don't know. It was a thought that I had kind of throughout the movie. It doesn't totally feel like the same character. Toward the end, she does feel like the same character. I think the reason that we did that is because if she was the same character, then there would just be two of her, because Jenna Ortega is exactly that character. But yeah, this is not a movie that makes sense. It's not super well written. I mean, jokes-wise, it's brilliantly written, but in terms of a film, this is not well written. There are so many moments that this just drags to a halt, or it would if I didn't care so much about the random goof and bit they were doing. Technically speaking, the filmmaking on display is really solid, like visually and audio and all that. And in terms of writing and just being a coherent story and being a movie, it's not good. Like, it's not a well-rounded film. And that brings us to it being a Beetlejuice movie, which is, I don't know why I'm able to give that exception, because most other movies, like if a Marvel movie came out and it had this same vibe, I would not give it a lot of benefit of the doubt. I think I would be pretty frustrated if something was supposed to be, something that I assumed was supposed to be taken seriously as a film, acted like this. And maybe that's what it is. It's just that I know that Beetlejuice is not supposed to be that. It is supposed to be kind of a leftover from a bygone era of Saturday Night Live movies. Comedies of that time where everything is just supposed to be what's the funniest possible joke we could tell in this moment, and just live in that for a second, whether or not it really serves the story. I talked some about the horror elements. Beetlejuice's wife going around sucking the souls out of people like a slasher in the afterlife is one of the most entertaining things I've seen all year. It really is. Like, there is so much going on, and that's one of 15 different subplots that's happening. A criticism that I would normally have for a film, but I just don't care, because it's like, yeah, is Willem Dafoe getting handed a coffee every 2 seconds by his assistant and pretending to be a cop? Does that really provide anything to the plot of the movie? It does not. Is it funny as hell? Absolutely. I think in the same vein, like, Danny DeVito shows up. I assume he was in the original. And he shows up for about 20 seconds and he gets his soul sucked, and it's perfect. Michael Keaton, I can't believe I haven't talked about this yet, and I probably could have talked about this in non-spoilers, but Michael Keaton he's got the juice still. I think he has fun with this. I have to assume he has fun with these movies because he is just going. This is an interesting case because we get to compare this to his Batman. I think he did a good job reprising his role of Batman, but it's blatantly clear that Batman was just he got paid to be Batman again. And this was, I think he might have paid to be Beetlejuice again. I think I'll wrap up my thoughts with, obviously, you know that I think this is a fantastic movie. You know that I enjoyed this. I want to watch it again. I highly recommend you go see it. But my weird, strange, and everything about this movie is based on vibes for me, but my strange vibe is that this is not quite as real as the original Beetlejuice. I've been trying to pinpoint what it is about this. Maybe it's just because the newness is gone. It's not an introduction to this character. He just shows up again and they use him more. Maybe I'll feel differently on rewatch. I'm entirely open to that possibility, but there is something about Beetlejuice that I think doesn't quite capture the raw, weird tangibility of the first movie. It gets caught up in its own rules, a thing that the first did absolutely not do. I think it's a little bit too focused on almost being reverent to the first Beetlejuice, but that doesn't quite play because Beetlejuice is such a shitty guy that it's like, you can't treat him with the same reverence that you do Batman. You can't treat him with the same appreciation as Spider-Man. He's not really that kind of character. He's not even like the Ghostbusters, where they were public figures and you can go, okay, maybe people were fans. Like, no one is a fan of Beetlejuice in this world. Certainly we are, but that's because we understand and can kind of separate ourselves. But if this guy existed in real life, we would put him in prison, in every conceivable prison we could. So I don't know what it is, but there is something that I think makes me like this slightly less than the first Beetlejuice. Again, that could absolutely change on rewatch because I really liked the first Beetlejuice the first time I saw it, and then every time I've watched it since, I appreciate it and enjoy it more. Maybe this will be one of those movies that just grows and grows and grows in my opinion, and just in my appreciation for the film. I hope that it does. I want to say that this is just as good as the first Beetlejuice, and I think in ways it is, in ways I think it might be better, but I think overall, so far, I do enjoy the first one more. This one is a solid follow-up that I do greatly enjoy and highly recommend seeing, but I can't say that it is better in my mind at this point. Thank you for watching this video and checking out my channel. If you'd like to hear more of my thoughts on movies, comics, TV shows, Beetlejuice, other various juices, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, and comment down below what you'd like me to review next, or do none of those things because I am not your dad. And that's Beetlejuice. And that's